You can start anywhere in a company or city and be successful and get to where you want to go. It just takes some determination and wanting to and being ambitious, having conversations with the right people, finding a good mentor, somebody to give you good advice along the way, and the sky's the limit.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Beaumont Beat video podcast, where we move with the heartbeat of the city. I'm your host, Tracy Kenneth, broadcasting from our communication department's new podcast studio. And the first guest to join us here is our very own Beaumont City Manager, Mr. Kenneth Williams. Now, I asked the city manager to join me because I get to work with him every day, and I get to see his heart and his love for this job. I see his humble character, his integrity, and his passion for what he does. And I also see how much he truly does care about the success of our city and about the citizens of Beaumont. So I asked him to come on today to talk a little bit about himself so you too could get to know the city manager a little bit better. But before we get to all of that, we have a quick announcement or two. Is your New Year's resolution to get fit? The Theodore Johns Library wants to help you reach that goal. They're offering a free, low-impact aerobics and yoga class every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Also at the Johns Library, every second and fourth Friday is Tweens Hour starting at 4 p.m. Ages 9 to 12 are invited to play games and make crafts. So tweens, grab your friends and join us at the Theodore Johns Library. Okay, now let's get into today's show and our interview with Beaumont City Manager, Mr. Kenneth Williams. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, Tracy.
Of course, I get to see you, as I was saying, on the personal or professional level, as many people do, but I also get to see a personal side of you that not everybody gets to see, and I want to talk a little bit about that today. First off, tell us what you do when you're away from City Hall.
Well, that's a whole different ball game when I'm away from City Hall, of course. One of the main things I enjoy is my family. Myself, I come from a family where there were 6 of us siblings. We had a great family, mom and dad, and we had the things that we needed and had a fantastic life. You know, later on, I met the love of my life, Cynthia, and we've been married 45 years. I met Cynthia in high school.
Oh, really? Yeah. You're a high school sweetheart?
Yeah, that's how long we've known each other. You know, we didn't get married then, but we met in high school.
Where'd you meet?
We met at a basketball game. I was a basketball player.
Okay.
And at this night, at the end of a game, we played. I was still on the floor, walking off the floor, and one of my friends brought her up to me and introduced her to me. And I guess the rest is history after that, after we met right
Were you
there.
the star basketball player?
I wasn't the star, but I was pretty good.
Yeah.
You know,
I bet you were.
I was a starter, and it was fun. Otherwise, she might not have been as interested in me.
You must have had a good game.
We have 3 children, a son who's Kenneth, and 2 daughters. We're longtime Texans. My children are 5th-generation Texans.
No grandkids yet?
I do have grandkids.
Okay.
How could I forget that? Yeah, I have grandkids. I have 4 grandkids. Great grandkids are quite the spread in age. I have grandkids from 22 to 4 years old. So I was christened, Pawpaw, 22 years ago.
Pawpaw.
And so I debated okay, can we change that up now and make it sound differently? But we decided to stick with that. So the 4-year-old calls me Pawpaw and the 22-year-old calls me Pawpaw.
Okay. Do you have any family traditions that you do?
Oh, mostly the traditional stuff with the holidays. You know, we love getting together for Christmas. It's a big deal for us. It's always been a big deal for my family. Also Thanksgiving. You know, we went and traveled to where we used to live and for Thanksgiving and had a great time. I spent most of it with my sisters. Again, I had the 4 sisters, one's passed, and 1 brother. So I got to spend 2 days of sitting around talking with them and reminiscing about what we used to do and the things trouble they used to get me into and blame on me.
Love it. Okay, and speaking of your family, you have a unique tie to Beaumont that people may not be aware of.
Yes. I'm a descendant of the Charlton family. And, you know, Beaumont has the Charlton Pollard. And so we've been doing research, and there's been some articles put out that the Charlton family, which I'm a part of, came from Tyler County. Mealy Charlton, who took her family and migrated south to Angelina County in the Lufkin area. And then there were some Charltons that left Tyler County and came to Jefferson County. And as I read the history here, I didn't realize it myself. As I was read the history, the Charlton and Charlton Pollard, they came from Tyler County. Their family came, and they came here to Jefferson County. So I'm trying to verify. It looks really certain that we are descendants in the Charlton family. My grandmother was a Charlton, so I'm excited about that. And it's like, who would have known that I would have found the other end of our Charlton family down here in Beaumont, Texas when I got here.
So let's talk a little bit about your political career now. How did you get started in doing, I heard the other day you wanted to be a firefighter, right?
Yeah.
So how did you get into becoming a city manager?
Yeah, I was interested in working for a city, and I went and took the fire department test. I passed and was on the list. But, in civil service, the test score is only good for so long. And then at the end of that, my score was at the end of that, and the tests had to be redone in the end of that year. So I missed out on being a firefighter. But I did become a city employee. I really started at the bottom of the barrel as a code inspector. Not to say that's a bad thing, that's a good thing. But I worked my way through there. I became a director of community development for the city. I became a public works director. I became an emergency management coordinator. And when I left that first city, I was an assistant city manager. I was very diligent in what I did, what I learned. I would go to council meetings when I didn't have to, and just to take it all in to see what was really needed to be successful in local government. Left that city. That was the city of Lufkin. I was there 18 and a half years, and went to the city of Diboll, Texas, as city manager. And that was my first job as a city manager. So I stayed there for a few years and did some great things in a great town. It's the home of Temple Inland, one of the great philanthropists in our country, probably, and did some good things there. I decided to move when I took Central Texas, Austin area, Buda, Texas, city manager there for 13 and a half years, and then I came to Beaumont, and I'm in Beaumont now. So I started working Beaumont September 6, 2022.
Okay, so you've been here a couple of years, and that really shows what a testament to the fact that hard work and just really digging in and being able to put in the time and the interest in a career can really become something. I mean, you can start at any level and really work your way up if you're willing to work for it, right?
Absolutely. And that's what I tell people. Just you can start anywhere in a company or city and be successful and get to where you want to go. It just takes some determination and wanting to, and being ambitious, having conversations with the right people, finding a good mentor, somebody to give you good advice along the way, and the sky's the limit. You can achieve whatever you like. Okay,
so you've been here a couple of years. I want to know, when you go out on the weekends, take your wife out, or you have family that comes in to see you, where's your go-to place?
Well, not to say I'm impartial to places, but probably our favorite place to eat is Tia Juanita's. We love the food there. When we have company, we take them there to eat.
What's your go-to dish?
Oh, the seafood enchiladas.
Oh, sounds good.
They're hard to push away from. They're really good. So they're fantastic. We also go to Papados and things. But when people come to town, we show them different things around town. And particularly during some of those festivals and special events. And, I've got to the point now that my sisters and Cynthia's family, they come to town. They'll come and they want to go to the Juneteenth festival, or they want to go to the Christmas tree lighting, and they'll come to town just for those activities. And so we'll take them to the special events, and they get really excited, and they just think Beaumont's the bomb.
Yeah. Makes you proud.
Yes,
absolutely.
To bring them to those events. And it's a city that we should be proud of.
So I know people know who you are, so I'm sure when you're out and about, people come and talk to you. Are there any particular instances that you can remember meeting a citizen and having a conversation that really stuck with you?
Well, it's always a conversation. Matter of fact, when I was at another place that we like to go eat, Riverside Grill, the other night, me and another one of the executives from Baptist Hospital were talking, and we just talked to each other. And when it was over, it's like, this is the first time we've ever gone out to eat, and we just only met one person that we talk with. So we meet interesting people, interesting conversations. A lot of times you get the elderly ladies who want to tell you about their issues, but it gives you an opportunity to make a really good connection, a really good friend. I met a gentleman last week at City Hall, and he was in the hallway, and he thought we were having a meeting, but the meeting was a different day. And I think we ended up talking 15, 20 minutes out there in the hallway, and it just gave him an opportunity, I think, just to have a conversation with someone that he didn't know. He might have known me, but we had one of the more interesting conversations that I've had. And I was able to have the time to spend with him. You know, usually I'm busy running from place to place, but I got great pleasure in being able to have that conversation with that gentleman.
Yeah, I love that you are so approachable and people feel like they can come up and talk with you. It's a great asset to have. Okay, one thing that I have noticed since coming to work for a municipal government is that it's not easy to make everybody happy. So in just a moment, I'm going to ask the city manager about how he handles what can sometimes be a stressful job filled with critics at times. But first, it's an election year for the city of Beaumont with the general election coming up May 3rd. If you're interested in running for mayor or council, you need to file with the city clerk's office by Friday, February 14th at 5 p.m. You can find the needed forms at beaumonttexas.gov/2025 election. We want to remind you that you can stream this show and past episodes of the Beaumont Beat on multiple platforms, including Facebook, YouTube, and Spotify. So subscribe to our channel, like this episode, and please share it with others so they can enjoy it too. And we're always also looking for topics. So if there's something you'd like us to cover, drop us a comment. Let us know what you'd like to see in future episodes. Now back to our conversation with Beaumont City Manager Kenneth Williams. And I want to talk now about some of the things that you've done during your career. You've made an impact both statewide and even nationally that some of our citizens don't know about.
Yeah, I've had a long career in local government, approximately 36 years in local government. So over 36 years, you do a lot of things, you meet a lot of people. And so it's been a really interesting journey for me. I participated along the way. I mentioned I started out as a code officer with the city. And right away, I jumped into things. I joined their state association, and before I know it, I was a state officer back then in the Code Enforcement Association, and did a few offices with them. I like to be involved, learn new things. It gives you an opportunity to not just know what you know. You can go and grow as a person, and you can bring those things back to your city and share them with your city, for example. But, after that, I did some things. I became an emergency management coordinator, worked with the state of Texas. I worked with and oversaw the evacuation of Hurricane Rita when people came from Beaumont Place up to the Lufkin area. I was the coordinator that coordinated all of that. So it gave me an opportunity to do that. So much so that I got to work with the state of Texas, and the chief of emergency management for the state of Texas and his shelter person, they came to visit. And I was able to share the formula for our sheltering with the state of Texas. And as a matter of fact, they're modeling their sheltering activities after what we did back then, because we used to do it voluntarily before it was mandatory, before cities did it, before the state of Texas even did it. And so they came and talked to us and learned that. But also, as I went through my career, of course, I got into city management. And I became an officer on the board of the Texas City Management Association. And then I was fortunate enough that my peers elected me president of the Texas City Management Association. I was very honored to receive that from my peers around the state of Texas.
That's a huge accomplishment.
Yes, and that was in 2019 where I got to share that. But even after that, I got talked into something. I was elected to the board of the International City Managers Association, and that's a worldwide organization.
I was going to say, that's not national, international.
International, which is 35 countries represented in that organization. There's a 21-member board. I was one of the 21 people from around the world that was on that board. My tenure there ended in August, but I still work with them. Matter of fact, they're in the process of hiring a new executive director, and I was one of the 10 people on their interview committee, and we went through interviews for that position last weekend. So staying busy, stay involved with the organizations, want to be able to get some things to bring back.
That must be fascinating to learn from how they run their municipal governments in other countries.
Oh, it really is, and we got to visit other countries. We went to the Philippines, and we visited 3 islands in the Philippines there. Of course, it was all paid for by the International City Managers Association. We went to Canada and had visits to Canada. Went to Bruges, Belgium, went there for activities. We got to see how they operate. And surprisingly enough, most local governments operate similarly.
Really?
Even in the Philippines, even in Belgium. Belgium, I think they had a council. I think there was like 20-something members. So Colin, who's the city manager of Bruges, Belgium, Colin Bayhart, it's like, Colin, how do you ever get a consensus? We think 7's tough here. But it was quite enlightening. It was very, very interesting to be able to experience it.
Wow. Well, anyone who works in government knows that it's hard, probably impossible, to make everybody happy. So you do face critics from time to time, sometimes more than others. How do you handle that? Did you just stay off social media? I mean, what do you do when you get that criticism, but you feel like you're doing the right thing? How do you handle that?
Well, you have to realize that it comes with the territory. It comes with the seat you're sitting in. If I wasn't in this seat, I wouldn't be getting that criticism. So it's not that people don't so much like me personally. They just don't like some of the decisions or some of the things we do at that particular time. But we do make them based upon the best information we have at the time. You just, people have issues. I don't look at they don't have problems. Everybody has an issue, and their issue is important to them. And our goal is to correct that issue or work through that issue to get some things done. So it's not a complaint. It's not a problem. You have a legitimate concern, and that's what I tell our employees. That's a legitimate concern. Let's find out what's going on. Let's work with them to get that to a better resolution. And realizing you're not going to make everybody happy. You said that it's impossible to make everyone happy, but you want them to feel like they were heard, feel like we addressed the issue. If it was a little bit late, okay, we were wrong, we apologize. Sometimes things don't go the way that they're exactly planned, but be able to communicate that to people. If people feel heard, that's half the battle. If you listen to them, have empathy for their issue and work through it. But, we're not going to be liked. In today's world, social media is the biggest game changer in my 36 years of local government, where people typically ask questions or make comments. They might even know the answer, but they still want to ask them anyway. But it gives them an opportunity to express their feelings, to be critical. We get internet trolls. You can't avoid it. Sometimes that's just a part of what happens. But you've just got to be able to stay focused, work on what we need to work with, and to work toward having a better city.
All right. Well, the good news is there's also those who recognize the things that you do. And I just want to bring this up. This was an article that was written by guest columnist Jerry Fulton in the Lufkin Daily News talking about you. And he said, I have more respect for Kenneth Williams than any man I have ever known except for my father and grandfather. Ken is smart, hardworking, and honest to a fault. But the thing I like most about him is what I think is the best trait, and that is he is loaded with common sense. One article like this, does it kind of wash away some of the negativity? That's got to make you feel
it
like...
It certainly helped. I really appreciate it. It's good to get that type of feedback. Jerry knew me. He knew me for a lot of years. We did a lot of things together. We played basketball together. We sat and talked together. So he really knows me, and so he could make a comment like that for sure. It's good to hear someone else say that. Those are the things I strive for. Being honest, as he said, honest to a fault. And sometimes it gets me in places I don't want to be by being honest to a fault. You know, sometimes the truth maybe shouldn't be stated in certain situations. But I think that it's important that people, that we have transparency. We be able to give people the truth, give them information they need to have, and then, you know, have an explanation on why we make decisions, or at least give a good accounting for what we do.
There was a lot of discussion about how much you make as a city manager. Mm-hmm. And of course, we got the 2% across the board to all the employees here at the city. And I want you to talk a little bit about how that number, how we get to the number.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I wish I made as much as what they were saying.
Yeah, and maybe we should bring that out as well.
You know, a city manager is a chief executive officer, chief executive officer of a company. You know, we manage multi-million-dollar corporations, some case billion-dollar corporations. And if we were in the private sector, we would make a whole lot more money because of what we do, because of the responsibilities that we have in managing, working with those dollars, managing thousands of employees, in my case, about 1,400, 1,500 employees, and dealing with people, Beaumont 115,000. You know, school superintendents, not to call them out, but they typically make more than city managers. And they might have 15,000 students, a large school district, you know, and we're dealing with 115,000 people like there. So if you look at salary surveys, we did salary surveys, and when compensation discussion came up and council identified the cities they wanted to compare us to, and if you look at that straight compensation, you know, I was 4 out of 6.
So you're not the highest
I'm
paid
not the highest.
With cities of comparable size.
Right. I'm in a good position, you know. I'm not complaining. Before I came to Beaumont, I was retired. So I didn't come here for the money. I came here for the challenge. Matter of fact, I think I know I spent more money in Beaumont than I've made since I've been here.
So you're giving a lot back to the community.
Yeah.
Too. Okay, so when you leave your office and you go home for the weekend, what do you do in your downtime? I hear you're a pretty good golfer.
Yeah, hallelujah. I like to read.
Okay.
Yeah.
What kinds of books do you read?
I like biographies. I like nonfiction. I just recently finished the history of Beaumont, which was a real interesting read. Someone here gave it to me, and it helped me understand Beaumont a whole lot better. They're like, Kenneth, you might want to read this. Try this, and so I read that too. Like movies, I'm a behind-the-scenes movie critic. I usually write movies, and then I write a little bit of a critique on it. Okay. Yeah, I really enjoy that.
Do you like action, or what kind of movies do you like? Tell me you like rom-coms.
No. I like all kinds of movies. Some action, more drama.
Okay.
There. I like, again, nonfiction stuff.
What do you think? Is there one thing that you think people don't know about you here that you wish they did know about you?
That I am approachable, that I am easy to talk with, that I am down to earth. You know, like I said, I started at the bottom of an organization, so it's not like I started at the top. So I had to learn what all people do throughout the organization and realize that, I realized what the person that's out there working on the street, how they feel. I understand, having been an emergency coordinator, how a firefighter feels or a police person feels. So I have a good understanding of the entire organization from top to bottom, all the way to the city manager, but also to the laborer, and I, every morning I come in, I speak to Rosie, we have a little conversation, and I take that time just as much as I take the time with anybody else in the organization, because that's as important as anything. And that's what people really don't know. I sincerely care about all people in the organization, and I want to spend time with them. I want to have conversations with them, and I want them to feel like they are an important part of the organization.
Now, you mentioned that you had retired once and got back into it again. When you finally do retire, what do you hope will be the legacy that when people think back to Kenneth Williams, they'll say, this was a man of, or this is what I think, what would you hope that legacy would be? Okay.
Yeah, you mentioned, I do play golf, so I do like golf. But as far as legacy, one thing of city managers, we take great pride, and even after we left the city, go back and see the things we've done. There's always something a project or something you take really great pride in, and said, I had a hand in that. I was able to do that. So that legacy is to be able to go back and look at the infrastructure and see what you've done, see what's built when you work with the city councilor or the people there. Go back and look at the friendships that you had there, people you can go back and spend time with and have a conversation with and talk. I retired and I went back to Beaumont, and I went back to town and sit down and talk, met them at the cafes, and we had conversations, and they were able to tell me some of the things that they were pleased with too, and glad that that I had done for them, and it gives me great pride in saying, hey, at the time it didn't seem like it meant much, but to them it did. So my legacy is, being a servant, just knowing that I was able to help people, for sure. I'm not looking for it for personal gain. I have no idea I don't want to do anything for personal gain. I never have wanted that. I just wanted to be able to help people. It comes from my upbringing. My parents made me go to church, and then I had to go to Sunday school. I had to go, so I had a foundation that helped me get there like that. So I just want to be able to help people.
I can attest to, after city council meetings, we have a post-council the next day, and you come in, and every person that has come to the stand to talk with any grievance, you go through them and you make sure that, okay, what are we doing to help this lady? Have we gone to check, to make sure that her water is working correctly, or whatever it is? And I really was impressed by that, because people get up and they think maybe I'm not heard, but the fact that you do you write down their names, exactly their issue, and that speaks a lot to what you just said.
Thanks.
Really do.
Thanks. And that's important. They're coming, they have issues, they have concerns, and they're coming to us for help. And we have to be able to respond to them. Some are more difficult than others, but I want them to know that we're responding to them.
Well, thank you so much. I know you're a super busy man, and I appreciate you coming to talk a little bit about yourself. That's not always easy to do, but I appreciate it.
Thank you. It's quite the reprieve. It's good to be able to talk about myself and have a conversation with you. So thank you.
Yeah, and appreciate all you're doing for the city, and especially your heart for the citizens. Before we go, we need your vote. The City of Beaumont is getting a new tagline, and we want you to help us pick it. Go to beaumonttexas.gov/tagline and help us decide how we can best spread the word of what the City of Beaumont is all about. For now, though, I'm Tracy Kenneth. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Beaumont Beat, where we move with the heartbeat of the city, and we'll see you next time.